This is the instructional video for the gingerbread house kit made from cardboard by Bentley House Minis. When you open your kit, you're going to have 9 cardboard sheets. 8 of them are going to have laser cut pieces, and 1 of them is going to be blank, which eventually will be the base for your house. To begin, you need to cut out pieces A, B, C, and D. There's going to be 2 of each of these shapes. Make sure to start this project with a new blade in your craft knife so you get clean, easy cuts. As you can see, some of the pieces are going to have other shapes within them. If you would like the windows open, please cut out the window shapes, and if you would like one of the walls to be open so you can make a miniature scene inside, make sure to cut out the rounded shape in piece B so that that opening exists. Do this before gluing them together. I'm going to be using both hot glue and Fabrifix glue. Both of these will reduce the amount of warping that happens while the pieces dry. You can also use tacky glue. Make sure that you put a weight on top of your pieces as they dry, because tacky glue can cause warping. Make sure all your sides line up exactly before gluing. Not all the pieces are symmetrical. After they're glued together, A, B, C, and D should all have a double thickness. To begin constructing the lower level, you're going to glue piece B to the back of piece A, making sure that you are lining it up with the shorter side of piece A. One side is a little taller and one side is a little shorter. Once it's glued, it should look like this. Now glue piece D to the back of piece A, lining it up with the longer side. The window should be closest to the door, and then you will have another door that's towards the back of the house, and this eventually will be a small closet. Finally, add piece C onto the back of both of those walls, gluing it on, and now you have your first floor put together. Remove pieces E and EB from your cardboard pieces. You are going to glue these together, however, they are not the same shape. EB needs to be glued on top of E. It is going to have a slight reveal on one side. Make sure that the notch lines up perfectly, and then once everything's glued together, there will be a little stair step where EB is slightly shorter than E. Once those are dry, you can glue them on top of your first floor, lining it up with the notch that is in piece D. If you have it lined up correctly, you will still see the corrugation of one of the B pieces once it's in place. After you are sure of the placement, you can go ahead and glue it to start creating the second floor. Now you need to remove 4 pieces that are marked F. All of these are going to be the exact same shape. Divide them up into pairs and then glue those pairs together so you have 2 walls that are a double thickness. Now remove pieces G and H, which are also going to help construct the second floor, and remove piece N, which is going to help us place it. Begin by gluing both of the double thick F walls to the back of piece G. These are going to line up along the edge. The longer side of the trapezoid that is piece F is going to be the top of the wall. Once that's dry, go ahead and add piece H to the other side of the walls, lining it up at the bottom. Once it's done, you should have a piece that looks like this. This is going to be your second floor of the house. In order to get it into the right spot, we are going to temporarily tape piece N to the top of the house. You can glue it at this time if you choose to do so. However, if you want to do very much to the inside of the house, I do advise saving the roof till later. However, we do need it to make sure we're putting the second floor in the right spot at this moment. Slide the second floor into place, making sure that the door is facing towards the balcony created by the pieces that were marked E. You will see that the window sticks up slightly above where the roof line is. Once the placement is correct, add some glue to the bottom of the second floor room walls and allow that to dry on top of pieces E and EB. Once that's dry, you can remove piece N and put it off to the side for safekeeping for later. Make sure not to lose it. The next piece is optional, but will help you cover up a gap on the interior of the house if you plan to do a lot of detailing on the inside. This is going to go right up next to the second floor construction. And do know that piece I is not symmetrical. You will need to line it up with the face of piece A to make sure that you are gluing it on in the correct direction. This will also help you line up where your roof needs to go, but as I said, it is optional and not needed to finish constructing the house. Now remove 2 pieces marked J and 2 pieces marked K. These are going to create the front canopy for your gingerbread house. These can be put straight up and down next to the door, or you can angle them out a little bit. It's up to you and what you want the front part of your house to look like. Once you're happy with the layout, add some glue to piece J and add 1 piece J to each side of your doorway. Each piece K has a slight angle on one side. This is to make up for the tilt of the front wall so that your canopy doesn't tilt as well. So make sure the angled part of piece K is up against the wall. You can also add a bit of tape between the 2 pieces so that they're a little bit easier to attach to create the canopy. You can glue that on above piece J to make the canopy for your front entrance. Glue that on and allow it to dry. Also remember to remove your tape once it's set in place. Now remove 2 pieces marked M and 2 pieces marked L. The M pieces are going to be glued together to create a double thickness. Once those are dry, add both piece L's to the back of pieces M so that it's going to angle away from the wall it's attached to as it goes up. Attach both of those pieces and allow them to dry. This is going to become your balcony support. This is going to go up underneath pieces E and B and also glue on to the back of your wall. This is going to create the tiny closet inside of your gingerbread house. This is how it should look once it's attached. Here's how it looks on the inside. You can get really creative with what's being stored in a gingerbread house. Now we're going to get out piece N that we had previously removed and also remove pieces O and P. All of these are going to make the lower level roof. I'm going to slip piece N back in place and glue that onto the house. Then I can add piece O on the other side, making sure I line it up at the top with the roof peak. And piece P is going to go on the very back on the other side of the second floor, lining that up with the peak of the house as well. If you do have any gaps, do not worry about that because we will be covering that with frosting a little later on. Piece Q is going to create our second floor roof. You will notice there is a very faint engraved line on piece Q. Use a ruler and score halfway through the cardboard, not all the way through the cardboard, and then slightly bend it so that the cardboard breaks along that line. This is going to create the second floor roof. Add glue and then some masking tape to hold it in place while it dries. If you would like to have a chimney on your gingerbread house, go ahead and remove 2 pieces marked R, a piece marked S, and a piece marked T. You're going to sandwich the S and T pieces in between the R pieces, making sure to line them up with the corresponding links so that they look like this once completed. This chimney can be put anywhere on the lower roof and look okay. If you want to put it on the upper roof, it will have a slight angle to it. However, you can cut it if you want to straighten it out a little bit. Here's how the chimney looks once it's put in place. For the upper canopy, remove 2 pieces marked U and 1 piece marked V. V also has a very faint line to show you where to score the cardboard. Score it with your blade and then bend it in half so that it breaks and you have a V shape. Add pieces U to either side of the door on the upper balcony. There is a slight angle on one of the ends of piece U so that it fits correctly once it's attached to the floor. Then add the angle side of piece V up against the wall and glue it in place. This will create your second floor canopy on the balcony. You have now used all the pieces that are in your kit except for the decorative pieces. You have 2 trees, 4 gingerbread men, 2 large and 2 small, and you have 2 wreath shapes. You can use these however you like or not use them at all. You also still have one piece of cardboard, which is going to be your base that you can start putting everything together on top of. I highly suggest doing the icing or any decorating on the inside of your house before gluing it to the cardboard. This is going to make it much, much easier. To put the trees together, you're just going to slot them in place, push one on top of the other, and then they create a tree that looks like this. Very simple. You should have 2 of these that you can place anywhere on the base. If you would like to have your gingerbread house look a little bit more toasty, like it just came out of the oven, you can dry brush some dark brown paint on the edges of each piece. Make sure to do this with a very dry brush and start with less and then build it up as you like it. It's easy to add more and it's hard to take it off if you put too much at first. This is how it looks once I've added the paint. This is optional and not necessary to complete your kit, however it does give it a little bit more of a natural gingerbread look. I highly suggest DAP Fast and Final Lightweight Spackling to be your frosting. As stated in the listing, this is not included in your kit, however you can find it easily on Amazon. This is a 32-ounce bucket that I'm using. This is very easy to tint with acrylic paint so that you can get different frosting colors. I'm going to go with a blue frosting color, and I'm using a jumbo popsicle stick to mix it together. Your kit only provides you with 3 icing bags, which you can use plainly without anything else. However, if you do want to add an icing tip of your own, this is how you do it. To put your icing bag together, put the lower coupling inside the bag, cut off the tip of the bag, add your icing tip, and then put the top part of the coupling on top of the tip so that it holds it together and in place. Then you can start adding your icing inside of the bag. Once you have all of it inside the bag, you want to squish it down towards the tip and then spin the back of the bag so that none of the spackling or icing comes out of the back and onto your hands. In your kit, you will have a set of strips that are cut out of chipboard. These are to be used to cover the corrugation of your cardboard if there's a place that you don't plan to use icing. This is not necessary if you plan to cover most of your gingerbread house in icing because the corrugation will be covered up. However, it is there for an option, especially if you plan to not do icing. You can cover up those edges and not feel like the house still looks like cardboard. I'm not going to be using the strips in this demonstration. I'm just going to be using the icing to cover up all the corrugation. I'm starting on the inside of the house and I'm just putting gentle pressure on the bag while I'm bouncing my hand slowly up and down along the line, allowing the icing to take hold of the cardboard. If you're having a hard time with the icing taking hold, lay down a line of tacky glue first and it will hold a lot better. Once I have the interior iced, I can go ahead and figure out where I want to glue it down. At this time, you may want to put the trees together and figure out if you do want to put landscaping. I glued it down with some Fabrifix at first, and then anywhere I knew I was also going to be putting frosting, I added some hot glue to secure it in place because I knew later it was going to be covered by frosting anyway. Then I started going around the base of the house and any place I wanted to cover up corrugation or gaps between the pieces. Even though this house is marketed as a gingerbread house, it is also 1/24 scale and can be used as just a plain house if you choose to use the chipboard strips instead of going with icing. If you do choose to go the gingerbread house route, you can also look at craft stores for beads or plastic food that might work as candy. If you would like to add some candy, I highly suggest putting a daub of frosting, add some tacky glue to the bottom of whatever you're adding in, this is a bead, and then push it into the frosting and let it dry completely. If you would like very small details but don't want to get any extra frosting tips, you can use a sandwich baggie, add a very small hole to one side, and add small details. When doing this, I do highly suggest laying down a line of tacky glue first and then the very thin bits of frosting. This will help it take hold. This entire house was done with one 32-ounce bucket of the lightweight spackling. For more information on this kit or Bentley House Minis, please check out the information in the description box below. Bye!